In 2016, a satellite image from Google suddenly went viral online because in that photo, a pyramid was revealed. Finding waterfalls isn't strange, but what's rare lies in the location shown where the photo was taken, the Ellsworth mountain range in Antarctica. The pyramid's base measures 2 kilometers in length and stands 1,265 meters tall. Compared to the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, which has a base length of 216 meters and a height of 146 meters, this Antarctic pyramid would be nearly 10 times taller. And that caused quite a debate. Very quickly, netizens split into 2 camps and began arguing. One was the natural formation side, saying this was clearly just a small mountain naturally formed, coincidentally shaped like a pyramid. Nothing worth fussing over. The other camp believed it was man-made, saying, "Come on, open your eyes and look closely. How could such a coincidence form so perfectly?" So, it must be artificial. A massive pyramid rising amidst a frozen, snowy wasteland. Was it naturally formed, or was it built? This is a true mystery rising from Antarctica. Does this shocking discovery hold some hidden secret? Today, let's talk about an ancient civilization no one could have imagined, the ancient Antarctic civilization. Hello everyone, I'm Mitsubi. Before answering this question, let's start by talking about an ancient language from South America. In the Andes Mountains between Peru and Bolivia, there is Lake Titicaca, also the place where the ancient Inca Empire originated. By the lake lives a group of indigenous people who have lived there for generations, called the Aymara. They live an agricultural life, working when the sun rises and resting when it sets. Their language is called Aymara. Since there are about 2.5 million speakers of this language, it's not a small language group, so both Peru and Bolivia recognize it as one of their official languages. You might think, oh, protecting indigenous culture is great, but what's so rare about that? But what if I told you that the Aymara language is one of the most structurally logical languages, like a programming language? In 1984, Ivan Guzman de Roaz, a Bolivian mathematician, developed a multilingual translation machine used as a tool for the United Nations. At the time, competing with Mr. Guzman were software development teams from 11 European universities. You could say they were top-tier experts, but in the end, Mr. Guzman came out on top. The secret weapon that helped him succeed was the Aymara language, because he discovered that the language used by the Aymara people was completely different from other naturally developed languages. Naturally developed languages contain ambiguity. People need context or other information to understand the meaning of a sentence. But Aymara is a carefully designed language. Its syntax is concise, strict, and unambiguous. It's as if every sentence has a clear and precise meaning. The computer doesn't need to rely on context and can analyze the sentence without error. By using Aymara as an intermediary language, Mr. Guzman didn't have to make too many changes to the program and was able to carry out translation work between different languages effectively. Everyone, try to imagine a scene like this. A group of farmers living by Lake Titicaca, smoking pipes and chatting, somehow creating an incredibly concise and logical language. Moreover, it's a language most compatible with computer algorithms. What do you think? This imagination might be so far-fetched that even the most whimsical science fiction author wouldn't dare to write it. So then, who created this language? Mr. Rand Flemath, an ancient civilization researcher from Canada, after many years of study, gave his own explanation. In Inca legends, there was a group of divine clans known as the Viracocha. They possessed advanced technology, were kind, and peaceful. From the great ocean, they arrived at Lake Titicaca, and here, during the ancient era of civilization, They left behind for the Inca Empire magnificent giant stone architectures. These include the ancient temple complex of Pumapunku and a mysterious city known as Tiwanaku. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Tiwanaku is considered the origin of the Aymara language. What is it? It is the largest ancient city in South America. The visible area today is over 4 square kilometers. The Akapana Pyramid, the Temple of the Sun, and the Kalasasaya Temple are all famous, and they represent the most iconic architecture of Tiwanaku. Here you can see giant statues carved by what are believed to be divine beings, Viracocha. The most remarkable thing about these structures is their construction using massive stones weighing several to dozens of tons. These stones were cut and fitted with incredible precision, aligned at perfect angles without needing cement or any binding material, just like the way the Egyptian pyramids were built. In ancient legends, it is believed that the gods of the Viracocha race chanted spells, and the giant pre-cut stones were assembled in a single night. When the sun rose, people opened their eyes to see a great temple of 10,000 stones standing majestically by the lake. Many believe that not only sites like Pumapunku or the Gate of the Sun were created by these gods, but even the Aymara language itself was partially designed by them. Some archaeologists believe the ancient city was built in the 2nd century AD, which is less than 2,000 years ago. However, there are other archaeologists with a more open-minded perspective who suggest that based on geological and hydrological changes in Lake Titicaca, the ancient city of Tiwanaku could have been built as early as 10,000 years ago. In 2015, a team from UNESCO conducted another survey of the Pumapunku temple and discovered that the temple complex was larger than previously thought. It spans about 170,000 square meters, larger even than the complex at Giza in Egypt. Moreover, beneath the surface, the Tiwanaku site, where the temple stands, contains water supply and drainage systems, various residential utilities, and even a swimming pool. It's very clear that this was once a highly developed ancient city. What surprised the UNESCO survey team the most was this. Beside the ancient city wall, they also found fossils of shelled animals and fish. What does this prove? It indicates that this city once stood beside a lake, and the city wall was once a levee for that lake. Currently, Lake Titicaca is about 20 kilometers away from the ancient city site. The British Geological Survey, in collaboration with a UN research team, after thorough analysis, concluded that the water level of Lake Titicaca would have taken at least 15,000 years to recede from the ancient city's location to its current position. If this conclusion is accurate, then Tiwanaku was built 15,000 years ago, a claim that many people agree with regarding the city's antiquity. What follows, however, has stirred relatively little controversy. The ancient city of Caral in Peru. In 1994, Ruth Shady, a Peruvian archaeologist, was surveying the Andes Mountains when several unusual mounds caught her attention. Her intuition told her that these mounds were not naturally formed. Their surfaces and borders strongly suggested the presence of something ancient and mysterious. So she led her team to begin excavation, and this excavation led to a discovery that shook the world. Ruth Shady's instincts had not failed her. This was the ancient city of Haru, known as Kara. Even today, the site is still being excavated. The construction has been dated as far back as 4,627 years ago, older than any known ancient structure in South America. Before Caral, the oldest known site in South America was the Olmecs, a place dating back about 4,600 years. Caral may even surpass the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, 4,565 years, and this might not even be the final conclusion. With excavations continuing to go deeper, the age of Caral could potentially be pushed back even further, making it even older. The ancient city of Caral also has pyramids that look strikingly similar to the El Castillo pyramid at Chichen Itza. Archaeologists also discovered a theater, human models, and evidence that the civilization's level was no less advanced than other civilizations of its era, such as ancient Egypt or Sumer. This entire ancient city has overturned the European conclusion that war is the driving force behind the birth of civilization, because no evidence of warfare has been found here. This discovery strongly aligns with the legends of the Viracocha gods, a race believed to possess advanced technology, peace, and kindness to the point that local people revered them as divine beings. And most importantly, archaeologists agree that the ancient city of Caral does not belong to any known civilization in South America. It is far older than the Inca civilization. Therefore, it's certain that the builders were not the Inca. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Could it really be that the Viracocha gods, as mentioned in the Inca legends, were the creators of this civilization? If so, where did the Viracocha gods come from? His statement made by Flem must have shocked people. He said they came from Antarctica, a land now covered by ice and snow. Flem's reasoning is that the ancient city of Tiwanaku and the Pumapunku temple complex, with their unique architecture and patterns, form a complete system that could only have been created by the still unknown Viracocha gods. If that's the case, this civilization must have a source, and that source is Antarctica. In any case, this parent civilization is not related to any known continent today. So we can eliminate continents like Asia, Europe, Africa, the Americas, and the Pacific Islands. This leaves only Antarctica, which is now covered in ice and snow. You might say, could he be out of his mind? Penguins can't possibly be the ancestors of the Viracocha gods. But Graham would tell you that this is not the case, because 12,000 years ago, Antarctica might not have been in its current position. 12,000 years ago, half of Antarctica's territory was outside the polar region, closer to the southern latitudes of Australia and New Zealand. Today, this region has an oceanic temperate climate, and Antarctica's position on Earth at that time was just an empty ocean. At that time, the North Pole of Antarctica was closer to the subtropical zone. The reason that Antarctica is now covered in ice and snow is due to the shifting of the poles in the 20th century. The theory behind this is still considered a legend, but by the 21st century, it has become increasingly supported by observable phenomena related to this subject. Later, we may share more in-depth details on this topic. In 2020, an article in Nature magazine was titled "Remains of a Temperate Rainforest in Western Antarctica." In the article, a research team led by Dr. Johan Klages, a geologist, discovered over 60 types of Mesozoic plants while drilling into the ocean floor. These plants closely resemble plant species found in northern Italy. The temperate rainforest flora proves that long ago, Western Antarctica was indeed located in a temperate zone. So, when did Antarctica shift to its current position? Mr. Flem came across an article like this. In the summer of 1996, in a cave in the Alaska mountain range, Mr. Timothy H. Heaton, a geologist, found the jawbone and teeth of an ancient person. He took this discovery back to the laboratory for analysis and found that the bone had been preserved for over 10,000 years. This was the oldest human bone ever found in Alaska at that time. Truly a great discovery. The archaeological community and the media were buzzing, feeling that this must be the ancestor of the local Native Americans. However, along with the human bones were various stone tools. These stone tools did not resemble those of the native Alaskans, leading the scientific community to hesitate in confirming the find. The story had been buzzing in the media for a while, but then it was put on hold because at that time, there weren't sufficient means to perform a thorough examination. The case was set aside and remained archived for 12 years. In 2008, scientists revisited this ancient person and used modern analytical techniques to examine the genetic relationship between this ancient individual and modern-day indigenous peoples. The results were shocking. This was indeed the remains of a Native American, but a foreigner who had died in Alaska more than 10,000 years ago, at the age of just 20. His closest genetic relatives were modern Yagan people. The Yagan people are an extremely ancient race. They have lived on the Tierra del Fuego in South America for nearly 12,000 years. The island of Fire Dig Island is the closest island to South America, located just 800 kilometers from the nearest point to Antarctica. The descendants of this ancient people are still living in the southernmost part of South America. However, one member of this people appeared in Alaska, in the far north of North America, proving that at the time of his death, his people were widely dispersed or had the ability to travel long distances. Discoveries of temperate plants under the seabed of Antarctica, along with ancient archaeological findings, further strengthen this theory. 12,000 years ago, Antarctica was still in the temperate zone, a place open to the sea, where flowers bloomed in spring and a very advanced civilization existed. They excelled in using massive stones as building materials and had the ability to freely control these giant stones to build pyramids over 1,000 meters high. However, in a global-scale catastrophe, Antarctica shifted to its current position. Afterwards, this continent began to freeze over. Those who survived the disaster left Antarctica in search of new land. Some of them arrived in South America, the closest place to Antarctica, and became the ancestors of the Viracocha gods in Inca legend. The giant pyramids captured by satellites in the Ellsworth mountain range, Antarctica, were mentioned in the opening of today's video. This is one of the remnants left by the ancient civilization. But what do you think? Do you believe that there was once a developed civilization in the frozen lands of Antarctica? Could the pyramid-like structures be man-made? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below the video. And that's where our sharing for today will end. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share it with a friend. Thank you so much, and goodbye. See you next time.